For ACUSports.com, I'm Grant Boone here with head coach Ken Collins as we wrap up the ACU 2013 football season. Coach, an 8th consecutive winning record after that 65-45 win over Prairie View on Saturday. We talked about this on the TV show and after the game. The difference between 6-5 and 5-6 seems like a lot more than one game, doesn't it?
Well, it is. And in any season, regardless of if it's your first year at the FCS level, you want to win more games than you lose. I mean, that's the number one goal that you set at the beginning of the season. And we were able to do that. Reflecting as I sit back, we should have been 8-3. I mean, we're 1 second away from another win. We're 6 yards away from another win on the last play of the game. So, and I'm sure a lot of people can say that throughout the country. But what 6-5 does, it sets our feet firmly in the ground as an FCS program. And you know what? Things aren't perfect. Things are not going to be perfect for a while. But it affirms us in the fact that we're moving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. We just got to get some more depth here. Obviously, we got to get some playmakers. There's been a ton of touchdowns that just walked out of the door. It's a little bit sobering. I just told Nathan Young, I said, if you get bored, just take a look at our list of seniors that won't be here anymore, and it'll you won't sleep quite as well because, hey, if we're gonna you start talking almost 700 yards of offense in a game, you better have some playmakers and some guys that can block and tackle and all that. But 6-5 is good. We're not satisfied with it, but it'll be a process from here on out to figure out who are we as a team, because every team is different. It's going to take some time to do that the rest of the semester and through the off season and through spring training and summer and fall camp, and we'll crank it up again.
Your 4 seniors in the skill positions. You think about Taylor Gabriel and Sharkandrick West and Daryl Cantu, Harkless, and Darian Hogg. I know you don't want me to say this, 103 career touchdowns. They got in the end zone a lot in 4 years, and I thought it was fitting. It doesn't always work like this. This isn't a TV show or a movie that plays out, but for a final game, for each of those guys to do something significant. Sharkandrick West, 4 touchdowns. Daryl Cantu, Harkless, nearly 200 yards of all-purpose yardage. Taylor Gabriel with 7 catches and nearly 100 yards. And Darian Hogg all over the field, blocking a field goal, catching big passes, making a tackle. And for John David Baker, your quarterback, to go out the way they went out. I mean, he had the 3rd highest single-game yardage total in ACU history. It doesn't always happen like that, but it was neat to see it, wasn't it? No,
you're right in that, sport is not like story, but sometimes it works out. It's a pretty good script at the end, and for these guys to go out like that is pretty impressive, because what they did last Saturday against Prairie View was pretty impressive. We were efficient. We're ripping off chunks and chunks of plays and protecting the ball while we were doing that. And that's ACU football. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is what we've become accustomed to watching on the sidelines and in the stands for years. And for them to go out like that is pretty special.
And to defeat an established FCS team. You'd beat Incarnate Word and Houston Baptist in their FCS, but they're first-year FCS teams, and in Houston Baptist case, first-year football period. But Prairie View, they can score. 65-45 over them, that's no small accomplishment.
No, and we knew going in that we had a fight on our hands, because their whole operation is set up around their offense and how fast they move.
Basketball on grass, you called it.
Yes, and it was. And every time that official set the ball down, he better be backpedaling quickly, because center's sticking his hand on the ball and they're snapping it. And they had a good quality quarterback, running back, receiver, so they had the ingredients there. We just knew we had some matchups against their defense that we were able to take advantage of.
We said this in the post-game show on Saturday from down there at Prairie View. Lance Fleming and I were talking about the fact that a year ago, as we said goodbye to Mitchell Gale and those seniors, you knew who you had. You knew John David Baker was the incumbent, I suppose, just because he had been there. But you didn't know exactly what he was going to give you. And I think that gives ACU fans some encouragement as they say, okay, John David's leaving. Those 4 studs who scored 103 combined touchdowns, they're leaving. What we know is, though, we've got 9 years of a track record that says somebody is going to step in there because of good recruiting and some pretty good coaching by you and your coaching staff. This thing's going to is going to score some points and rack up some yards.
Well, we hope so. That's the plan, and you don't know how it's going to play out. These are guys that you're dealing with, and all these guys they bring different issues to the table. They bring different positives to the table. But just watching John David develop from this time last year it's pretty special when you think about it, because we've played football here a long time, and basically 7 out of the last 8 years we've had a 3,000-yard passer, and
you're basically talking 300 yards a game.
Yes, 297 yards a game in the last 8 years, 3,500 yards passing every single year. So it's not like all of a sudden we start throwing the ball. And John David ranks as the number 3 guy for passing yards in a season, averaged over 300 yards, 306 per game. That's pretty impressive. That speaks to what he did, and what he did last Saturday. He put an exclamation point at the end of a resume, of an 11-game resume of just quality football play. What he put on a show last Saturday it was really, really fun to watch. It was fun as a coach, even as a guy that his position coach. He came off the field one time and after making a great throw for a touchdown, looked really, really easy. Wasn't that easy? It was. He came off and I said, I took my hat off. Say, I got to tip my hat to you on that one. That was one of the coolest plays that you've ever made, and you made it look so easy.
40 touchdowns total when you count passes and runs, which is an all-time ACU record. So now I know there's not really a lot of time to decompress. I mean, you'll get some moments here in the next few months where you'll have some downtime, but I know you're already looking ahead to 2014. You have to replace those guys, but what are the other areas that you'll look to replace through recruiting and potentially maybe a couple of transfers?
Well, the big thing is that was shown to us or reaffirmed in our minds is we have to get more big people. We got to get more D linemen. We got to get more offensive linemen, because football is a big boy game. You push people around. It's violent. You get pushed around. And you can have 5 quality offensive linemen, 4 quality D linemen, but if that's all you got, you're in trouble. Because when you play Georgia State, then go to Troy, and then by the way, you're playing a full Southland schedule. We're going to play the Bears from Conway. We're going to play the Bearcats. We're going to play and McNeese and
Southeastern Louisiana, which won the league out of nowhere this year.
Yes, and when you do it, you better have your pieces in place, and you better have quality depth. We don't have that yet, and ultimately that is the goal. We got to develop some depth so we can get out there and get after it.
Congratulations on a great year.
Thank you.
All right, that's Ken Collins. His team finished 6-5, the 8th consecutive winning season, which is a new ACU record in terms of consecutive years winning more than they lost. I'm Grant Boone for ACUSports.com.